Hi everyone. Probably wondering why I'm showing you this crappy picture. I bought a bunch of Roundhouse railguns and they sit too high. So I'm going to take one and modify it to see if I can get it to look more like this, because I really don't like the way they look. But they're a really good value if you can find them. So this is what I'm talking about. There's microtrains gons on each end. Of course, they're fish billy gons. They're different model, sort of, but see how high the trucks are, how much clearance there is underneath there. That's way too high. I want the wheels to be tucked up underneath it like it is on the real one. So I'm going to take one, I'm going to modify it. Again, I've got a few extra ones, and I'll see what it looks like. And I'll show you that when I'm done. I'm going to do this by hand because I can't get my tripod down low enough to shoot it. This is the first car that I did, the car in the back. So you can see it is significantly lowered, and the part I like the best is right there. You can see how high the trucks are. I mean, they're just really way up there. Clearance underneath the car. Now they're really tucked in. This is like I see going down the railroads now. They're tucked underneath the car, and it still swivels fine. So I will show you how I did this on another car. Now that I know it's going to work, I didn't want to ruin a car. Didn't know it's going to work. This is just basic weathering on this. I'll weather it some more probably when I'm done, but I just didn't want the shininess to sort of stand out on it. I wanted you to be able to see it a little bit. So I'll take you through the process, and gosh, it didn't take me an hour to do it. So here we go. So this is an unmodified car, and it's a car I'm not going to modify. And if you can see, it's about 5/16 or 10/32 from the upper edge to the fore. So all I'm talking about doing is moving it about a 1/16 of an inch. So I'll show you the car that I just modified. And it's about a 1/4 inch. You can see it's about a 1/4 inch deep. So 1/16 of an inch is all I'm talking about doing. But it makes a huge difference in the appearance, as you can see. I have some 1/4 inch square balsa wood strips that were my dad's building airplanes. So you can see I've got a piece cut in here and that it's sticks up a little bit. That's basically how high I'm going to raise the fore up to. Let me show you what it looks like on the car that I modified. So here's the car that I modified. So you can see it's pretty flush with the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the floor out of the one I want to modify, and then I'm going to use just the weight as the floor. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, here's the gondola with the fore out of it. This is the fore. Basically, this is just going to become the fore. Yeah, you've got a couple holes here where the truck pins, and then you've got this molding hole in the middle. Time you paint this black, and if you want to, you can really put like a false wood floor, strip wood in of it. Get some evergreen styrene, put something in it. Half the time you're going to be loaded anyhow. You're not going to see the floor. And the height of my layout, you're not going to hardly ever see the floor anyhow too. So we'll set the floor aside. See, I don't even paint the bottom of it. You can't see it, especially when it's going to be tucked up in there. Set the floor aside, and now I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut the floor out of this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I didn't do this on my prototype because I didn't realize I was going to have to do it, is you have to cut the ends. Because if you don't, when you put the trucks on, the couplers will ride up on this. They won't swivel freely. So see, there's like a line all the way across here. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife. I'm not going to do it on camera because can't really do it. I'm going to cut this up to that line and sand it down and everything. I'll show you what that looks like. You can see these things were pretty cheap back in the day. Don't know if you can get it for $5.95 now. So what I'm going to do is this one I have not cut. I'm going to take it out of the box. I'm going to use it to show you what the differences between the two are. The one on the right is the one I cut. The one on the left I did not cut. So that's how far you have to cut down on the ends so the couplers don't hit. So now I'm going to cut the 4 out of it. So to cut the 4 out, it's pretty thin really. I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to trace around the inside. That's what I did on the other one. And when I get one end to cut and 2 long walls cut, I can just bend it and snap it and then just clean up the edges. So I'll do that now off camera. I almost have the bottom cut out. Just need to score and snap the other end. It would be really easy to slip and cut all the way through these walls. They're not very thick, so you have to be really careful when you do this. So let me cut out, get rid of the 4 completely, and then I'm going to clean up the inside of the car with some sandpaper and files and stuff. And then we'll get back to showing you how we're going to glue the 4 in. This is what it looks like without the 4. These little stirrups on the end are pretty delicate, so you can easily break those off if you're not careful. Matter of fact, I broke one off on my original one. So when I put it on the layout, I always have to have that facing away from me since I don't have any way where I don't have a loop, so it's never going to come back around where I can see that side of the car. It's okay, I used a file. It's pretty rough in here, but that's okay. Gondolas had a rough life, so now would be a good time if you want to sort of beat up the top edge too. Okay. So on the first one that I did, I just took the 4 and I just, let's see, the brake wheel sort of gets in the way, so you have to make sure you can get past the brake wheel. And I just put it in here like this and just sort of played around with it till I liked the way it looked, put trucks on it and glued it in. It's sort of trial and error. But now that I have my pieces of wood, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pieces of wood in here like this, and I'm just going to press it down on the table, and now I know that the 4 is the right height, same as the other one. And then I'll just super glue it in. I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. So, not rocket science. I just press it down flat, make sure it's flat, and I put a couple drops of Gorilla Super Glue on it, and that will be enough to hold it in. Now that you've got plenty of space down here, if you think the car is a little bit light, heck, you can definitely add some weight to it. Light just kicked off, but I think you can still see okay. So you can add a little bit of weight to it if you want to. I think the cars are pretty decently weighted. I'm not too worried about it. Here's the 4 that I cut out. I just use that to sort of spread the glue around a little bit. I like the Gorilla Super Glue. I think it's good stuff. It's a little bit more expensive than a lot of the Super Glue, but it's good stuff. So I'll just let that dry. I'll put some trucks on it and show you what it looks like. So I have my original gondola that I modified, and then I coupled it to an unmodified gondola, and then I just had the one I just showed you how to do. As you know, I don't really have any curves on my layout right now, but I will show you how it goes through some Pico medium radius turnouts. So as long as you don't have any curves sharper than that, you're okay. And from the side, I think they look a whole lot better than that one in the middle. Again, that's a lot closer to what you see going the rails now. They're a lot lower now. I had a couple hiccups, and so let me try to explain it. So this is the Microtrain's roller bearing truck, which is probably what they would find on, you know, one of these cars. It's a relatively modern car. This was what they call a Bettendorf truck. And where the hacking was that the bearings were in, excuse my handheld, right in here, sticks out a lot farther than it does on the roller bearing trucks. I bought these cars used. So one of the cars that I modified had a roller bearing truck on one end and a Bettendorf truck on the other, and the Bettendorf truck would not go through the curves as much. It's a very tight clearance. If you have tight curves, if you use short radius turnouts, I would not do this modification. Again, I don't have any curves right now other than going into my staging yard, and it went through them okay with the roller bearing trucks, but the Bettendorf trucks will definitely, when you try to swivel on the modified car, remember those fours, it will definitely hit. So it's not something you want to go into lightly. If you have tight curves, you could ruin your cars and not be able to run them anymore. Make sure you have roller bearing trucks, which is the prototypical thing anyhow for them. Be honest with you, and scale, a lot of times I don't notice the trucks. You know, they're down there underneath the car and you just don't see them. Roof locks, I notice. If a car has roof locks and shouldn't have, I'll notice that. But trucks, a lot of times I don't, and that's my own fault. It's just something I don't really focus on. I don't notice. So anyhow, just wanted to give you that disclaimer, but they work very well if you put the roller bearing trucks on, because the roller bearing trucks have a lot thinner profile and they don't hit against the body. That's it for tonight. That was an interesting little project. I'll probably do you know, a few more cars like that as time allows. I am traveling next week. I'm going to try to maybe do a little bit of operating with my new JMRI later this week, and I'll shoot a little bit of video. They'll be gone next week, but I am taking some material to work on. As you can see, my yard office is gone, so I'll be working on trying to replace that. So everybody have a good evening and stay safe. Stay warm.